Are you considering a career pivot? Are you no longer fulfilled by your profession or just thinking about trying something new? I recently took the plunge and quit my job to totally reinvent myself professionally. If you're considering being crazy like me, here are the 7 things I screwed up. 7 things I screwed up
So far.
and my tips on how to avoid them. This video is for anyone at any level considering shaking things up in their career and moving forward in a different direction, from leaving your first job to making a complete 180 2 decades into your career. I'm Jared, and if this is your first time joining me, I'm a lifelong nerd and ex-Fortune 500 manager. I'm committed to sharing my take on management, professional development, critical thinking, and random other things I find interesting. Today, I'm sharing nearly live experiences and mistakes from my current professional transition. To give you perspective on my level of craziness, I've spent my entire adult life as a technical guy, getting my PhD, teaching college for a couple years, and then working for more than a decade in R&D. However, I recently paused to reflect on who I am today. I realized my gradual but extensive change over the past 20 years. I was the professional frog in the slowly heated pot, realizing how different I'd become from the guy who started college. After trying to make a more subtle change within my role and company, I remained unsatisfied with the results or my prospects for fulfillment, so I took the leap and quit my job. Now I'm back in school, again.
You know, a lot of people go to college for
11
years.
This time for my MBA. So, jumping into my mistakes, here are the top things that I would do differently if I could rewind the clock. Number 1, waiting. I've known for years that I wasn't fulfilled in my job or excited about my career trajectory. To be clear, it wasn't bad, it just wasn't me. See my other video on the dangers of being just fine in your career. My job became an energy vampire. I stuck to it for the paycheck and hoped my engagement would return rather than actively doing something about it. As the frog in the pot, everything started great. However, as I grew and followed the logical linear career path, who I was and what I did gradually diverged to the point where I was definitely in the wrong place. Going back several years, I started actively looking for other jobs and received multiple offers to switch roles and companies. In retrospect, I should have made the change then. So, mistake 1 in my job transition journey happened years before I realized that I was even on that journey. Just asking if it was time to change meant that it was way past the time that I should have done something. Many studies find that by the time you ask the question, should I change? The answer is likely yes, and you should have done something much sooner. So how do we combat this mistake? It's about self-reflection. Periodically reassess who you are and understand how you've changed or how the job or company has evolved. Subtle changes add up over time. Take this occasional inventory of who you are today and compare that to who you were. Some thought starter questions for you are: what tasks give you energy? What tasks do you dread? When you have a bad day, what made it so? Is that something that's likely to be repeated? And what can you do to minimize your future bad days? Looking further into your future, are you still genuinely excited about your career trajectory? What do you most enjoy about your role? What do you most enjoy about your company? Are those things unique to your company or role, or are they likely to exist elsewhere? Where do you find yourself intentionally procrastinating? I really like the procrastination question, as I found things I avoid highlight potential areas of disengagement, which could be tied to what demotivates you. Plan time with yourself, or better yet, a trusted mentor. Discuss these questions and assess yourself and how well your current job fits your needs. Be honest and test the water in the pot with a fresh perspective to know if you're in a cozy hot tub or if it's time to hop to a new place. And that brings us to mistake number 2. Mistake 2, over preparation. If I'm not 100% prepared, I feel totally unprepared. For example, before the first time I went snowboarding, I watched extensive YouTube videos. I effectively studied for vacation. Before ever strapping on a board, I knew the theory and what I was supposed to do, and when I got to the mountain, I signed up for a lesson. And what I actually learned was snowboarding wasn't for me. 2 hours in, I took my board back to the rental shop, traded it in, and I've been a happy skier ever since. In my career pivot, I took several months to interview people in different careers to understand their journey and satisfaction. I asked many of my questions from tip 1. What did they love and what aspects of their job did they find annoying? Reflecting on their responses, I put myself in their shoes and thought deeply about which path was right for me and the correct direction for me to hop in. I strongly recommend talking to other people to live vicariously through their jobs and listen to their experiences to assess your interests and needs compared to their daily experiences. My mistake was taking another couple of months before taking action. I continued the discovery phase for too long. I targeted management consulting as my direction, and then I read a number of books, studied for interviews, and I even began crafting my responses to firm-specific behavioral interview questions before even updating my resume or LinkedIn page. I was focused on being 100% prepared for the experience before knowing if it was even worth it. I was ready for the hiring manager to call me seconds after I hit apply on the job, and that turned out to be a tremendous waste of time. My recommendation is to treat your career transition like an agile project manager. Think about what matters most and focus on that. Create a list of everything that needs to be done to transition and prioritize. Start the process. Get a resume you're happy about, tuned for your general new direction. Prepare a generic cover letter that you can adjust to match specific positions later. Focus on finding opportunities that appeal to you, and then customize your core application materials to match that role and then apply. Don't waste your time on things that don't matter yet. Going after perfection and being overly prepared, I wasted a lot of time on activities that weren't really value added at the moment. So my tip: create a list of everything that you need to do in your career pivot. Then sort it in order of priority. Focus on what must be done today and ignore the other stuff until it becomes essential. Become that career transition project manager. Consider critical path activities and adopt a just-in-time delivery of objectives with awareness of dependencies and what is most vital and what can wait until you know your time is value added. In most cases, preparing a resume is essential and critical. Preparing for business-specific interview questions before you even have a nibble isn't a great use of time. While my mistake was doing too much research, the converse is also true. Don't blindly pursue something that you just saw. Avoid wasting your time chasing things before you know you really want to do them. Balance is key. We'll talk more about that later. Mistake number 3, waiting to network. Applying for jobs on LinkedIn sucks. Good news: it's super easy. Bad news: it's super easy for everyone else too. This means it takes more work to get noticed. Worse than starting a YouTube channel.
Like and subscribe.
It's critical to know how to play the algorithm game to get past the AI resume guardian. The other challenge, going back to wasting time, while I evaluated many jobs on LinkedIn, I made sure that I wanted to apply and even modified and prepared specific cover letters to show that I did my research on the company and I actually wanted to work there. Bad news was, on some of their applications, there wasn't even a place to submit that cover letter, so more time down the drain. So I made the hard strategy pivot and started networking in hopes of getting recognized and receiving any kind of nudge of awareness and advocacy from the inside. Initially, it was with people that I already knew who were connected with my desired industry. After quickly exhausting that list, I moved into my cold email LinkedIn request phase. In my initial research, see mistake 2, I heard mixed guidance on whether networking was essential in consulting. Described by many as one of the purest meritocracies in the professional world, some people told me not to network or that it wasn't valuable. However, as I started to have helpful conversations, I learned much more about the current state of the firms. Overall, personal connection is precious in today's world of easy, quick job applications. Regardless of the field, I can't stress enough combining doing your research with networking. Continue to grow your knowledge about the opportunities and use direct connections to help overcome the sea of competition fighting for attention in a world of digital resume review algorithms. Side note, if you're watching this and people reach out to you for career advice, take 15 seconds to respond. If you can make the time for a quick coffee chat, please do so. It means a lot and it makes a difference to someone who may benefit from your expertise. My conversations were exceptionally meaningful and I really enjoyed both sides of these chats. Mistake 4, pivoting for the wrong reason. Some of the best career advice I ever received came years ago from a mentor when I was considering a job offer. They asked me, "Are you running towards something or away from something?" Reflecting, I realized that I was running away from something at that moment, but for the right reason. I just didn't know my reason yet. More critically, I was running in the wrong direction with the job offer I received. In that instance, the offer was more money and a better title and a very different company structure, but doing the same thing that didn't engage me. Ultimately, I turned down the offer, but it took me years to realize the real reason. If I'd been smart, I would have deeply reflected on why I was even looking for jobs and assessed what I needed at that moment. Instead, I was more focused on title and money. So here's my tip. Make a list of why you want to change. Start with your current job and create an honest list of the pros and cons of staying and leaving. What do you like about your role, your company, coworkers, and your future opportunities. I'm working on another video to assess staying versus leaving. Still, for now, I recommend digging deeper into the reason and asking yourself the big questions of this channel. Why? When you identify a professional opportunity, return to your list and ensure that the destination matches what you want, or at least checks enough of those boxes to warrant the change. Put yourself in the position that you're considering and ask yourself the following questions. What will your most significant challenge be taking this role? What are you most excited about regarding this new job? And what are likely your biggest regrets a year from now if you take this job? Look at the cons list from your current role and predict how many of those will stay the same with the new opportunity and how many of your pros are still present. Ensure that you're running towards something rather than away from something in the wrong direction. Mistake number 5, control what you can control. My next mistake was hubris and optimism. I was confident that I could quit, focus on getting a high-paying job that I wanted, take a little bit of time for myself, job prep, and then be back in a stable paycheck in no time. This introduced a variety of challenges that I needed to overcome, particularly regarding my mental health and confidence. I focused on the goal of getting the job. I created a clear bar of success. While that sounds great, the downside was, no matter how much I prepared and the effort that I committed to the cause, someone else was making the hiring decision. Success was out of my hands. Leaving my job to pursue a new goal gave me an energy that I hadn't felt in years. However, as I failed to progress against a goal not in my control, my mental state and self-confidence declined. I needed to focus on factors within my control and commit to taking meaningful actions that could improve my chances of success. To paraphrase one of my key takeaways from Atomic Habits by James Clear, I needed to plan my day based on incremental improvements that advanced me towards success. In the book, Clear writes how every NFL player wants to win the Super Bowl. That's a goal. However, how much control do they have over getting there on a daily basis? Very little. Focusing on the goal isn't helpful. Look at the actions within your control. As an NFL player, you can control your workout. You can improve your mental focus. You can take small actions each day to make yourself better. In life, what can you do today that improves your chances for success? For me, it was continually building new skills, taking care of both my physical and mental health, and establishing new networking connections. By committing to these, I could maintain a positive perspective on activities, advancing me towards my goal and avoiding disappointment with things that were outside of my control. As you reflect, what steps can you take and control within your career transformation? Don't focus on winning the Super Bowl. Commit to constantly improving yourself to be ready when the opportunity arises. Mistake 6, financial planning. Switching gears, let's talk about money. This is a big one for most people. While I expected to be quickly able to move to a new job and restore a stable income, that's yet to happen. For you, if you quit, what does your financial life look like? If it takes longer to get a new job, are you prepared? If you're crazy like me and you quit before you have an opportunity, consider the financial impact. Think about ways to keep your current job and minimize the gap between your next opportunity. Or at least understand the implications of being without a paycheck while you find your next job. If you're in a committed relationship, discuss your plan and agree on your path with your significant other. Also remember that in the United States, healthcare is another significant aspect to consider financially if you leave a role providing you benefits. Returning to mistake 5, I focused on the goal and financial considerations were secondary. Luckily, my wife is incredible and has a good job and benefits that supported me through my transition to find professional fulfillment. She's continually encouraged me to refrain from settling and rushing back into accepting a role that doesn't achieve my professional goals just to restore our income. This does involve financial compromise. So, tip, have a financial plan before you leap. Sit down and have a realistic conversation with your partner, or if it's just you, map out your resources and understand potential limitations or requirements. Develop a strategy for your pivot period and acknowledge the sacrifice it involves. While you want to be optimistic about achieving your goals, consider your emergency parachute options and when you might need to pull the cord. What is your time horizon and what steps will you take throughout the process? And are there any emergency exit ramps to restore stability? Focus on your definition of success and don't hit the panic button too soon. I'll use my wife as an example for that. A few years ago, she left a role that wasn't a great fit. She quit without an immediate opportunity and began her search. After a little over a month, the previous company contacted her and asked if she was willing to return. Despite us knowing that it was a bad fit, she took the role, and in doing so, she put herself further behind in finding the right position for her, and then she left again shortly thereafter for a better opportunity. I want to emphasize understanding what triggers the need to compromise and take a lesser job or return to something you know isn't right. Where possible, stick to your plan and focus on finding the right opportunity for you. With that, let's discuss my 7th mistake. Mistake 7, achieve balance. During my time off, I've learned I'm really bad at not having a job. As I thought more, I realized my challenge is needing a clearly defined, tangible goal that I can actively work towards. I now have an entirely different concern about what my retirement eventually looks like. Talking with various coaches and mentors, I now realize how special and unique this time is. While I'm working on my MBA, this is the first time I've been without a job in 2 decades, and aside from some minimal part-time work in college, I've essentially been working since the day I turned 16, walked into the local bowling alley, and got my first real job. When I quit, I redirected all my newly rediscovered energy. I poured it entirely into a single purpose of finding a new job. This created a new problem. I was back in the same situation I wanted to leave, but now my lack of balance was self-inflicted. As I stepped back, I realized that I needed to focus on what I could control. I needed to be multidimensional and explore other self-improvement areas, particularly my mental and physical health. My epiphany came from the prompt, if I got my dream job tomorrow, what would I regret about this time off? 2 years in the future, how would I look back at what I'm doing right now? While I would likely be incredibly excited to start my next career opportunity, I'd be disappointed that I didn't do more to better myself. I would likely think this unique period ended too soon and wish I'd taken more time for myself to exercise, take more walks outside, and explore other hobbies. To quote Mark Twain, 20 years from now, you'll be more disappointed by the things that you didn't do than by the ones that you did do. I realized in my commitment to the pivot that I'm in the same dangerous cycle that I was in my job, focusing too much on a single dimension of my life. Since that realization, I've poured more effort into this channel as a creative outlet. I've taken time to learn new things, and I focused on all aspects of my health. In the past few months, I've rode well over 1 million meters, lost close to 40 pounds, and have been inspired to keep a balanced lifestyle. Even when I'm focused on developing another video idea or seeking additional connections to pursue a job, I've forced myself to take time for balance. Go exercise. Just sit and read something completely unrelated. Go for a walk. As you experience stressful transitions and uncertainty, keep your professional goals in proper context to the overall long game of life and well-being. So here's my tip. Regardless of making the change, what can you do to improve the balance in your life? What areas of your overall well-being are you neglecting? And how do you find the right blend of activities to care for your whole self? This may look different for everyone, but consider integrating diet, exercise, meditation, therapy, time with friends, and exploring new hobbies. For me, this reflection and adjustment has been invaluable, and my health and well-being are in a better state than I've experienced in years while living through a period of some of the greatest uncertainty in my life. If you're considering a career change like this, know that it's scary. If you followed my tips, you're doing it for the right reasons. It's not going to be easy, but you have the plan in place and are actively working to make yourself more fulfilled and successful in the long run. Have faith in your abilities to achieve your career pivot goals while putting in the hard work to do something to make yourself better and more qualified every day. I'm absolutely thrilled to be living through the anxiety and uncertainty at this moment. Thankfully, I have some great accountability partners with whom I can share my experience and, most of all, an incredibly supportive wife. Recently, I struggled with the idea of pulling my financial ripcord and just taking any job, but I reminded myself what I'm trying to achieve, what I really need, what I can control, and how I use the time each day to progress towards my overall objective of living a fulfilled professional life. I'm glad you stuck around to hear my list, and hopefully I saved you some pain in an exciting but stressful time. Few things in life are worth so much as pursuing something that energizes you and helps you achieve fulfillment. Committing to watch videos like this shows the commitment that you're making to do the right thing for yourself. I have faith in you. Now, I want to hear from you. Which of my mistakes do you connect with, and what other techniques have you found to overcome them? If you've been in my position before, what should I watch out for next? I wish you the best of luck in your journey. Trust yourself that you're running towards the next big opportunity. Thanks so much for watching. Take care of yourself, and we'll talk again soon.